I'm going to do a quick tour of our new course structure while it's still early in the morning before before our real class starts. I have found that yesterday the D2L got very slow between about 10:30 and 1:30 middle of the day. So I don't want to risk that if we can't get into D2L. I want to make sure I've left something for you to look at. The main thing that you need to be aware of as we go into this end stretch of our semester is that I'm going to use D2L to kind of keep us organized in terms of instructions for what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. We're not going to try to have synchronous lectures where I talk to you about course content during regular class time. I will be available during regular class time to help you with any questions that you have, and we can certainly work on course material at that time. But everything that you'll be working on, you should be able to do at whatever time you want. Like I said, D2L has been had issues keeping up in the middle of the day, so you may want to access in the morning or later in the day to get an idea of what you should be working on. Download files, make notes of links to videos, whatever, so that you're not dependent on that on the D2L system for that when you're trying to get to it. In the short term, I will mirror what I'm doing in D2L on a web page that's not inside D2L, and I'll put that on the announcements page. That does remind me that as we go through, you'll be getting some emails from me, and I know that some of you are getting overwhelmed with emails. You should know that anything I'm emailing, I'm also making a D2L announcement. So if you find emails to be hard to keep track of or keep up with, just make sure you have a regular schedule of checking in D2L for what you should be looking at. Everybody is different in that regard, so I'm not going to just depend on email, and I can't just depend on D2L announcements or just any one thing. I have to err on the side of sort of over communicating so that everybody is getting the message. But you should know that you're not going to miss anything in an email as long as you're checking D2L regularly. So my expectation for this rest of the semester is that you will work on this course for 2 days a week. I assume it's going to be during our normal class time, but it doesn't have to be. The structure that I've set up in D2L is all going to make sense if you start under the content tab. There's a new category there called daily work. And so you can see that the first week's material is already posted, daily work 1, daily work 2. And you'll notice they're starting the day before we normally would have a class. So that way, if you want to get a jump on it, you have more time, different days, you'll be able to do that. And the deadlines for these will become more lenient as we go forward. The main reason that they're sort of a small turnaround right now is because I want to make sure everybody is able to follow the tasks and do the technical stuff they need to do to complete them. And so I don't want to have a deadline a week away and find out that a week later, someone does not know how to do some technical task. So for example, for daily work 1, there's a list of instructions that ask you to look at a document, watch a video, taking notes on the document, look at another document, try one of the problems there. The second video shows you the solution to one of the problems on the second document. And then finally, your assignment is to carefully write a solution to the second example on the document and upload that to D2L as a photo. I have asked if you possibly can to use a scanning app that converts a photo to a PDF file. If you're not sure how to do that, the easiest thing to do is just Google it, because it will depend on your phone and exactly how you have your phone connected to cloud files or local files. And there's not a good way for me to know that in advance. So try Googling it if you don't know. And if you can't figure it out, then send me an email and just tell me what kind of phone you have, and I can probably help you with that. It's not strictly necessary, but if you don't use a scanning app, I would ask that you take a photo of your paper in good light and make sure you're writing with dark ink. A regular photo off of a phone does not make a very legible document. So the scanning app fixes that. But if you can't use a scanning app, then a photo is fine. But if you're going to use a photo, please make sure dark ink, well lit space for the photo. And when you have that, then you can click on this day one assignment, and there's a link to upload a file. And all of that, everything that's on here works fine from any kind of mobile device. So if all you have is a phone, you can see the document, you can watch the video, and you can do the upload all on your phone. If you do have something bigger like a tablet or a computer, then that's an advantage for you, because then you can have maybe the document on one device open while you're working through the other one, and that would be easier. But you don't strictly necessarily have to have that. So the final thing for this is just to build a confidence interval by working through the steps. This is the same thing we did in class before the spring break. And but if you just fall into this assignment, if this is the first thing you see, then this is a little bit confusing. So even though the deadlines are going to pop up and tell you assignments are due, keep in mind the structure that I have for all of these is a series of instructions, a series of documents and videos, and the assignment is the last piece. So at no point do I expect you to be able to just pop into the assignment and make sense out of it the way it's written. And I'll try to do this that I did at the top of this one, where I remind you, if you do show up in the assignment first, to remind you that you really want to start looking under the content tab through the material that's there. So, so this is a very good assignment for the first week. Please try to work your way through this. I put a due date of Wednesday night on it, just because it is review, and all I really want to know is, can you actually execute this? It should not take more than half an hour, even if you watch both videos all the way to the end and print out documents. And I mean, if you do everything I can imagine you doing, it still shouldn't take more than half an hour. And so that'll be what our daily work looks like. The other kind of assessment I'm having you try out on the thing called Daily Work 2, and you see the structure is very similar, and it's pushing the idea of confidence intervals a little broader. So these are things we have not done before. And the assessment piece for this is not an upload from a camera picture, but rather me asking you to jump over to MyLabs Plus and answer, I think it's 2 questions from a MyLabs Plus quiz. So that'll be the other way that we do assessment in our course, is that maybe that after you've worked through something, the kind of thing we would normally do in class, I ask you to go answer a couple of questions in MyLabs Plus. The same way that when we were doing things in our face-to-face class, we would work on worksheets, and then I'd ask you to do one more problem on the back to hand in before the next time. So what we're really doing here is trying to replicate the way our normal class has been running, where you're looking at documents and videos instead of working in class on worksheets. And then you're going to complete some task for assessment the same way that you would hand in a piece of paper the next time. So that's the way it should look. It makes a lot more sense if you always start with the content tab, and then look at the daily work written out with the instructions there. Like I said, there'll be 2 of these a week for the rest of the semester. There will still be the MyLabs Plus homework problems, and it still has the Ask My Instructor link. So, pay attention to those due dates and use the Ask My Instructor link as much as you need to, and I'll keep posting more videos of those solutions. We won't have any more data assignments. I will put together a bonus data assignment. There are some people that didn't turn in one of the earlier ones, thinking that they had one more to go to even out their grade. So I'll have a bonus one for those people, and so that'll be it'll be optional. It'll just replace your lowest other one that you've had so far, as a way of fixing that grade. We're not going to have any more things that we called assignments per se. Everything else we're doing will be under the category of daily work. Then finally, for exams, I told you that we won't even try to have exam number 2 because all of that material is repeated on the third unit anyway. So, so what we'll do is towards the end of April, we'll have an exam which covers both the second and third unit. And the way the exam will work, it'll be a combination of these two ways of doing assessment. There'll be some problems where I ask you to do something on paper and upload a photograph, and some problems where I ask you to complete something in MyLabs Plus, and we'll use the combination of those two things for your last exam grade. You should have gotten a copy of the syllabus. If you haven't, it's in D2L that says how we're readjusting all of the weights for things to have this all make sense. The bottom line is that the exam scores are now worth a little less, and everything else is worth a little more. And these new daily assignments are a whole new category that we're adding in. So we should be able to survive the rest of the semester, really just using the tools that we've used so far without changing our format very much. The only thing that's weird is that we won't be in the same room at the same time 2 days a week. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I look forward to seeing you at 9:30 if you can be there today. And if not, feel free to pop in between 9:30 and 10:30 any day, any Tuesday and Thursday when we normally have class, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And of course, email is great. Just send me email. And if you need to talk with me one-on-one, I can send you a personalized Zoom link, and we can get together and video chat or even just talk on the phone.